While The Elder Scrolls may be the most famous fantasy series that Bethesda has ever produced, it isn't the only fantasy series they have published. While despite the frequent comparisons to Gears of War, Hunted the Demon's Forge is a little bit more generic. A kidnapping leads to an adventure through rather generic locations, and you eventually discover who the real big bad guy is. While it does have some intrigue and multiple endings, I don't think that the story really stands out. The characters also seem fairly generic and doesn't seem to have the charm that the writers think they do, but it doesn't really wear itself thin as much as it does in other games. Visually, I think that Hunted the Demon's Forge held up better. While they clearly spent most of their efforts on the leading ladies, there were times where I was impressed by the visuals, especially when maxed out. It has aged fairly well for a 7th gen game, but is maybe about the middle of the pack for overall visual fidelity. But the voice acting is solid, and the score features some really decent action pieces. However, I think that the gameplay is the best aspect. While the swordplay feels a little lackluster, I think that the third-person shooter element is fairly decent. The movement feels like Gears of War, if only a little faster, but I think the real highlight is how the addition of skills and the co-op focused magic combine to make you feel really powerful. There are also plenty of segments that are tense, that will have you struggling as supplies begin to run low, but the lead up to this is a really enjoyable fight, where you make the best out of both your own and your companion's abilities to take down the horde. But on the other hand, the co-op design is worrisome, as you and the AI companion fight each other for better gear, and you have no way of controlling what gear your AI companion picks up, but they do have a tendency to pick up better gear. It's particularly annoying in some of the puzzles, where the AI character won't always do what you need them to, but at least for the most part, it is a really great feeling game loop, but it really could have done with a more reliable loot system, and perhaps an integrated assist button in combat. But what is here is a fairly solid foundation that I would like to see in future games of the genre. However, Hunted the Demon's Forge doesn't do all that well in regards to accessibility. While there are subtitles, there's no in-game way to change either the written or spoken dialogue. There's also no way to lower the difficulty, though there is a higher difficulty mode upon completion. They do give you the option to remap buttons on mouse and keyboard, but unfortunately this isn't available on controller in-game, which is really the way I recommend playing it. So you're going to have to use the Steam settings if you want to do that. It doesn't do all that well in convenience either. It's only available on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, as well as being available digitally on Steam. I also think that the menus aren't that great, though it does have the basic functions that should allow you to play this on older hardware. While I failed to find any major bugs, I did see some minor visual hitches, and I struggled to keep the camera looking smooth while running. But despite these problems, I honestly have fun every time I pick this game up. I know it's not going to be for everyone, but I think the majority of people will have a decent time with this. However, I don't think it earns more than a meh. While I really enjoy the game, I think that its flaws hinder it, but it still manages to have some redeeming qualities, and a story, which is why I think it performs better than Borderlands. But let me know what you think about Hunted the Demon's Forge down in the comments below. Check out my last video on Saints Row 4 and consider subscribing. Till then, this has been Rob the Slob, and I'll see you in the virtual commute.